The Unsent Confessions, Chapter 1, The Echo of a Farewell. The quiet rhythm of suburban Boston life, punctuated by the chirping of cicadas in her manicured garden, was Sarah's sanctuary. At 65, a retired editor, she lived a life of ordered tranquility, a stark contrast to the vibrant, chaotic whirlwind of her youth. Yet beneath the calm surface, an old, unhealed wound festered, a constant, dull ache that no amount of time or success could truly soothe. The wound was named Emily. Emily, her best friend, her soul sister, her other half. Their friendship had been forged in the crucible of late 1970s New York. Two aspiring young women, fresh out of college, navigating the bohemian streets of Greenwich Village. Sarah, the quiet observer, the wordsmith. Emily, the fiery artist, impulsive and incandescent. They were inseparable, sharing dreams, secrets, ramen noodles, and the fervent belief that they would conquer the world together. Then, in 1981, it simply ended, abruptly, without explanation. One day, Emily was there, a vibrant, constant presence. The next, she was gone. Phone calls went unanswered. Letters returned marked address unknown. Sarah, bewildered and heartbroken, cycled through confusion, anger, and a desperate sense of abandonment. She had replayed their last conversations countless times, searching for a clue. An offense she might have unknowingly committed, but found nothing. Emily, the dazzling, enigmatic Emily, had simply vanished from her life, leaving behind an echoing void. Sarah carried the burden of that unresolved rupture for over 4 decades, a quiet, nagging question that punctuated her every peaceful moment. One crisp autumn morning, as Sarah sipped her tea, sunlight streaming through her kitchen window, a letter arrived. The return address was unfamiliar, but the cursive handwriting on the envelope sent a tremor through her. It was Emily's distinctive artistic script, albeit shakier than she remembered. Sarah's heart pounded. Could it be, after all these years? She tore open the envelope, her fingers trembling. The letter was not from Emily. It was from Lily, Emily's daughter. Lily explained, her words imbued with a quiet grief, that Emily had passed away recently, after a long illness. The news was a cold, physical blow, extinguishing the faint, flickering hope of a reunion, a reconciliation that would never come. But then Lily's words shifted, revealing a startling discovery. Among Mom's belongings, the letter read, I found a series of old leather-bound journals. They were filled with her thoughts, her art, her life. And strangely, nearly every entry mentioned you, Sarah, our friendship. It seems you were profoundly important to her. She wrote about you constantly, right up until the end. I've always struggled to understand my mother, her complexities, her silences. I believe these journals might hold answers. I would be deeply grateful, Sarah, if you could come to New York. Perhaps together we can understand the unwritten story of her life and your friendship. Sarah sank into her chair, the letter fluttering from her trembling fingers. Emily, gone. And yet, here in her daughter's words was the promise of an answer to a 4-decade-old question. A diary filled with her name, with their friendship, a lifetime of unspoken feelings, finally ready to be revealed. The echo of a farewell, long haunting her quiet life, was about to become a symphony of unsent confessions, a complex melody of love, loss, and the devastating power of hidden truths. Chapter 2, The Green Notebook. The news of Emily's death, coupled with the revelation of the journals, left Sarah reeling. grief for a friendship that had ended decades ago, yet never truly healed, mingled with a potent cocktail of fear and profound curiosity. What secrets did those journals hold? What truths about their sudden rupture, about Emily herself, would finally come to light? Her husband, Michael, a quiet, supportive presence throughout their marriage, listened patiently as Sarah poured out the long-held pain. "You have to go, Sarah," he urged gently. "You've wondered about this for too long. It's time for answers, no matter how hard they might be." The journey to New York was a pilgrimage into the past. Sarah found herself drawn back to Greenwich Village, the streets both achingly familiar and jarringly changed. The brownstone where she and Emily had shared a tiny paint-splattered apartment still stood, though now a gleaming, expensive boutique had replaced their favorite dusty bookstore. Lily met her at a small cafe, a quiet, reserved young woman in her early 30s, with Emily's striking artistic eyes, but her expression far calmer, more centered. She too carried the weight of unanswered questions, a daughter trying to piece together the enigma of her mother. "Thank you for coming, Sarah," Lily said, her voice soft but firm. "Mom, she was a complicated woman, brilliant but troubled. I always felt like there was a part of her I could never reach. These journals, they mention you so much. It's like you were her anchor, her constant." Lily led Sarah to Emily's small, cluttered apartment. It was a kaleidoscope of vibrant colors and unfinished canvases, a testament to Emily's artistic spirit and her chaotic life. And there, on a worn wooden desk, lay a stack of leather-bound journals, a veritable library of a hidden life. Lily handed Sarah the first one, a faded green notebook. "This is where it all begins," Lily said. "From 1978, when you two first moved to the city." Sarah's fingers trembled as she opened the notebook. The familiar, energetic script of a younger Emily filled the pages. The first entries were vibrant, bursting with the raw excitement of their new life in New York. Late-night conversations about art and philosophy, shared dreams of literary and artistic greatness, their tiny apartment echoing with laughter and the clatter of paintbrushes. October 12, 1978, Emily's exuberant handwriting jumped off the page. "Sarah and I found the most divine little bookstore today. It smelled of old paper and possibility. She understands me, truly understands me in a way no one else ever has. My brilliant, quiet Sarah. Together, we are invincible." Sarah felt a wave of profound nostalgia, a bittersweet ache for the easy intimacy they had once shared. The diary was a living, breathing testament to a friendship so pure, so intense, it felt like a love affair. She relived their college years, the bohemian nights in the village, the shared struggles of aspiring artists, the inside jokes, the unwavering support they offered each other as they navigated the exhilarating, terrifying landscape of early adulthood. She read late into the night, the words a lifeline to a past she thought was lost forever. Emily wrote about her artistic breakthroughs, her struggles with self-doubt, her passionate, often tumultuous, romantic entanglements. And always, woven into every entry, was Sarah. Sarah's calming presence, Sarah's insightful critiques, Sarah's unwavering belief in Emily's talent. But as the entries progressed, Sarah noticed a subtle shift, a growing undercurrent of anxiety, a deepening sense of self-criticism. Emily wrote about financial struggles, about artistic rejections that bruised her fragile ego, about toxic relationships that left her feeling drained and unworthy. And slowly, painfully, Sarah began to see the cracks forming in Emily's vibrant facade, cracks that she, in her own youthful preoccupation, had failed to fully perceive. The green notebook, once a chronicle of pure joy, was slowly transitioning into a profound, often heart-wrenching, testament to a buried struggle. The unwritten confessions were slowly, meticulously coming to light, painting a new, devastating picture of Emily's hidden pain. Chapter 3: The Slow Descent. As Sarah delved deeper into Emily's journals, the vibrant energy of the early entries gradually gave way to a more melancholic tone. A slow descent into a hidden struggle. The handwriting, once bold and flowing, became smaller, more hesitant, sometimes scribbled in frantic bursts. Emily's joy in her art seemed increasingly overshadowed by self-doubt, financial anxieties, and a growing sense of inadequacy. Sarah read with a tightening in her chest, recognizing the subtle shifts she had missed all those years ago. Emily, always so fiercely independent, had been battling demons Sarah had never known about. Emily wrote of creative blocks that felt like personal failures, of gallery rejections that chipped away at her confidence, of living paycheck to paycheck in a city that demanded constant hustle. April 15th, 1980. Emily wrote, her words tinged with bitterness. Another rejection. My work isn't commercial enough. How can it be when my soul feels so fractured? Sarah, with her quiet success in publishing, her stable path. I envy her, even though I love her. Why can't I be more like her? Why can't I just fit in? Sarah winced. She had started working at a small, respected publishing house, her career slowly but steadily gaining traction. She remembered feeling guilty about her stability, knowing Emily struggled, but she had never imagined the depth of Emily's envy, the insidious way it gnawed at her friend's self-worth. The journals revealed painful personal entanglements. Emily documented a volatile relationship with a musician, a man who fed her artistic passion but drained her emotionally, leaving her feeling used and discarded. She wrote of feeling constantly exposed, raw, unable to protect herself from the world's harshness. These were struggles Emily had largely kept from Sarah, dismissing them with a wave of her hand or a forced laugh. Then came the entries that truly shattered Sarah. Emily began to write about a profound sense of exhaustion, a pervasive sadness that wouldn't lift. She described sleepless nights, obsessive thoughts, and a growing inability to concentrate on her art. She spoke of shadows that followed her, of a dull ache in her chest that never went away. It was clear, to Sarah reading the words decades later, that Emily was experiencing the early stages of severe depression, perhaps even undiagnosed bipolar disorder, a condition far less understood and more stigmatized in the early 80s. October 2nd, 1980. I can't tell Sarah. She's too good, too pure. She wouldn't understand this darkness. I'd only drag her down. She deserves a friendship that isn't burdened by my failures, my madness. I feel like I'm losing my mind, slowly, irrevocably. How can I possibly show her this broken version of myself? Sarah felt a wave of profound sorrow, a crushing guilt. She had always believed the breakup was about her, about something she had done. Now she understood it was an act of desperate self-preservation on Emily's part, a misguided attempt to protect Sarah from what Emily perceived as her own spiraling decline. The silence wasn't anger, it was shame. It was a cry for help that had been masked by withdrawal. The entry closest to their actual break in 1981 detailed a seemingly innocuous event. Sarah had offered to lend Emily a significant sum of money to help her pay rent and art supplies, knowing Emily was struggling. Sarah, trying to be tactful, had said something like, "No need to pay me back right away, just whenever you can." Emily's journal entry, written that very night, was devastating. "She thinks I'm a charity case. She pities me. I saw it in her eyes. I can't let her see how truly broken I am. This is it. I can't drag her into this abyss with me. It's better if I disappear. Better for her. Better for everyone." Sarah gasped, remembering the moment. She had been trying to be kind, to offer help without making Emily feel indebted. But Emily, in her fragile state, had interpreted it as pity, as a confirmation of her deepest fears of inadequacy. The Unsent confessions laid bare a truth more painful than any anger or betrayal. Emily had pushed her away out of a misguided, profound love, believing she was protecting Sarah from the darkness consuming her. The slow descent had led not to anger, but to an act of desperate, heartbreaking sacrifice. Chapter 4: The Shared Perspective. The revelation of Emily's internal struggles, her battles with depression and self-worth, completely reframed the narrative of their fractured friendship. Sarah's decades-long assumption of abandonment was replaced by a profound understanding of Emily's silent suffering. The journals became a painful yet cathartic bridge to the past. Lily, watching Sarah's emotional journey through her mother's words, found her own understanding of Emily deepening. "She was always so guarded, even with me," Lily confessed, her eyes filled with a new kind of sadness. "I knew she had her ups and downs, but I never knew the depth of it. It explains so much about her later life, her reclusiveness." Determined to gain a broader perspective, Sarah decided to reach out to David, their mutual friend from those vibrant New York years. David, now a successful architect living in Brooklyn, answered Sarah's call with surprise and a hint of old fondness. They met at a quiet cafe, the echoes of their shared youth lingering in the air. David, a man of quiet observation, listened intently as Sarah spoke of Emily's journals and the devastating truth they revealed. His expression grew somber. "Emily, she was a force of nature, wasn't she?" he said, a wistful smile playing on his lips. "But fragile, so fragile. I always worried about her. She hid so much, even from us." He confirmed what Sarah had suspected from the journals. "There were times she'd just disappear for days," David recounted, his gaze distant. "Then she'd reappear, full of manic energy, brimming with new ideas, or utterly withdrawn, barely speaking. We didn't have the language for it back then. We just called it Emily being Emily. But looking back, it was clear she was struggling with something profound." David revealed a perspective Sarah hadn't known. He admitted he had been deeply in love with Emily, but she had always held him at arm's length. "She felt she wasn't good enough for me," he said, his voice laced with old pain. "She always talked about you, Sarah, about how pure your heart was, how stable you were. She admired you fiercely, almost revered you. She said you were too good for her, that she'd only taint your life with her darkness." This echoed precisely what Sarah had read in Emily's diary. The depth of Emily's self-deprecation, her conviction that she was a burden, was staggering. David also confirmed the specific incident with the loan. "I remember that," he said. "Emily told me about it. She was mortified. She said you pitied her. She couldn't bear it. She felt she had to cut ties to protect you from her own spiraling chaos." A fresh wave of grief washed over Sarah. The lost decades, the unspoken words, the missed opportunities for understanding. Emily hadn't abandoned her out of anger or indifference, but out of a desperate, misguided act of love and self-preservation. As Sarah continued to read the later journals, a different kind of pain emerged. Emily had moved around, seemingly drifting through life, often struggling financially. Her art a solace, but rarely a source of stability. Yet, through all the hardship, Sarah's name reappeared constantly. June 12, 2005, I saw Sarah today, from a distance, at a bookstore reading. She looked so elegant, so peaceful. I hid. I couldn't bear for her to see me, what I've become. The shame is a physical weight, but oh, how I long for her. My Sarah, my only true friend. I wonder if she ever thinks of me, if she ever understood. Sarah clutched the journal to her chest, tears streaming down her face. Emily had seen her, had been close, and had chosen silence out of shame. The pain of the unacknowledged encounter, of the decades of missed connection, was almost unbearable. The shared perspective from David, combined with the raw honesty of the journals, painted a vivid, heartbreaking picture of Emily's life, a life lived in the shadow of a profound, hidden attachment to the friend she had pushed away. The unspoken friendship, the unsent confessions, had finally found their voice, a poignant testament to a love that endured even in the deepest silence. Chapter 5, The Unsent Letter. The depths of Emily's hidden suffering and her unwavering, albeit misguided love for Sarah, revealed through the journals and David's insights, left Sarah with a profound sense of both catharsis and unbearable regret. The question that had haunted her for 40 years, why, was finally answered, but the answer brought with it the crushing weight of what could have been. Sarah and Lily spent days poring over the remaining journals. Each entry peeled back another layer of Emily's complex psyche. They discovered that Emily's battle with depression intensified over the years, marked by periods of intense creative output, followed by debilitating withdrawals. She moved frequently, never settling, always chasing a fleeting sense of peace she rarely found. Yet through it all, her art remained her constant companion, a vibrant outlet for her tumultuous inner world, and Sarah, the brilliant, quiet Sarah, remained her silent confidant in the pages of her diary. Lily found a new understanding of her mother's reclusiveness, her sudden mood swings, and her occasional, almost wistful references to a friend from long ago. "She loved you, Sarah," Lily said, her voice thick with emotion. "You were her constant star, even when she felt lost in the darkness." The final journal was smaller, its pages thinner, filled with a more fragile script, indicative of Emily's declining health. The entries were sporadic, reflecting a mind that often wandered, but when focused, her thoughts were sharp and clear. They chronicled her final struggle with illness, her quiet resignation, and a profound sense of yearning for peace. Then, on the very last page, tucked carefully between the worn cover and the final blank sheet, Sarah found it. A single, folded letter, addressed to "My dearest Sarah." It was undated, clearly written in Emily's final days, her once bold handwriting now shaky and weak. Sarah's breath hitched. This was it, the ultimate unsent confession. She unfolded the brittle paper, her hands trembling. "My dearest Sarah, if you are reading this, it means I am finally at peace. And perhaps, at last, you will know the truth. The truth I was too weak, too ashamed to tell you in life. I did not leave you out of anger, my friend. Never. I left you out of love. A misguided, desperate love that believed it was protecting you from my own growing darkness. I was breaking, Sarah. My mind, my spirit, it was splintering. The shadows were growing longer, the despair too heavy to bear. I saw your light, your strength, your quiet success, and I felt like a decaying thing, unworthy of your brilliance. Remember the loan? When you offered to help me? I saw pity in your eyes, Sarah, and I couldn't bear it. Not from you. Not from the one person who truly saw me. I convinced myself that if I disappeared, you would be free. Free from my burdens, my failures, my eventual collapse. It was a cowardly act, I know, a profound betrayal of our bond, and I have carried the weight of it, the bitter taste of regret, every single day since. I watched you sometimes, from a distance. You were always so beautiful, so poised. I longed to reach out, to apologize, to explain. But the shame was a physical weight, pressing me down, binding my tongue. I was afraid you would confirm my fears, that I was a broken thing, beyond repair, unworthy of your forgiveness. Please, Sarah, forgive me. Forgive my silence. Forgive my fear. Forgive the pain I caused you. You were the truest friend I ever knew, my anchor, my constant. I loved you fiercely, more than I could ever express, more than I could ever deserve. If there is an afterlife, a place where souls can finally find peace and truth, I hope to see you there. And perhaps there, in that quiet place, we can finally have the conversation we should have had all those years ago. The one I was too afraid to start, with endless love and regret. Your Emily. Sarah finished reading, her body racked with deep, gasping sobs. Lily, who had been reading over her shoulder, wrapped her arms around Sarah, both women weeping, united in their shared grief and the profound revelation. The unread words, Emily's final, desperate confession, brought an overwhelming sense of both unbearable sorrow and immense relief. The why was finally clear. The unsent letter was a testament to a love that had defied distance, silence, and even death itself. It was the ultimate, bittersweet resolution to a friendship that had been silenced by fear and shame, and now, finally, found its voice in the quiet pages of a buried diary. The unwritten story had found its poignant, devastating, yet ultimately healing conclusion. Chapter 6, Threads of Forgiveness. The unsent letter was not merely a confession, it was a lifeline, pulling Sarah from the depths of her decades-long sorrow and into the illuminating clarity of understanding. The initial anguish, the crushing weight of Emily's final words, slowly began to give way to a profound sense of catharsis. It was a sorrow tinged with relief, a bittersweet acceptance. Emily hadn't abandoned her. She had loved her so fiercely that she believed her absence would spare Sarah from her own spiraling darkness. Sarah realized that forgiveness was not just for Emily, but for herself. She had carried the burden of unresolved guilt, the nagging question of what she had done wrong, for far too long. Now she could release it. She understood Emily's fear, her shame, her inability to confront her own demons. It was a tragic, heartbreaking choice, but a choice born of love, however misguided. The bond between Sarah and Lily deepened, evolving into a unique, almost maternal connection. Lily, through her mother's journals and Sarah's shared memories, finally pieced together the enigma that was Emily. She understood her mother's struggles, her complexities, and the profound love she had harbored for Sarah. Lily found a sense of closure, a peace in understanding the woman who had raised her. She discovered not just her mother's pain, but also her incredible resilience and unwavering artistic spirit. Sarah decided that Emily's story, her art, and her journals deserved to be shared, not out of judgment, but out of a desire to honor Emily's memory and to shed light on the devastating impact of mental illness and the stigma surrounding it. With Lily's eager consent, Sarah began the meticulous process of organizing Emily's journals and her vast collection of art. It was a therapeutic endeavor, a way for Sarah to continue her dialogue with Emily, to preserve her legacy. They worked together, Sarah with her editorial precision, Lily with her artistic eye. They selected powerful excerpts from the journals, juxtaposing them with Emily's vibrant, often haunting artwork. The project became a collaboration, a shared act of remembrance and healing. They decided to organize a small, private exhibition of Emily's work, accompanied by selected readings from her journals. It was held in a gallery in Greenwich Village, a space that echoed the bohemian spirit of their youth. David, their old friend, attended, his eyes filled with emotion as he saw Emily's art, vibrant and alive, telling a story he had only glimpsed. The exhibition was a quiet success, a tribute to a forgotten artist, and a testament to the enduring power of her spirit. Sarah herself, no longer burdened by the unresolved past, found a new sense of peace in her retirement. She continued to write, not just for others, but for herself, documenting her own journey of discovery and healing. Her relationship with Michael deepened further, his quiet understanding a constant source of strength. The unwritten confessions had brought not just answers, but a profound transformation. The fractured friendship, once a source of bitter pain, had been woven back together through the pages of a diary, revealing a bond that proved stronger than silence, stronger than misunderstanding, stronger even than death. Sarah had not just found answers, she had found peace, forgiveness, renewed understanding of the intricate, often heartbreaking, nature of love and human connection. The story of Sarah and Emily became a quiet testament to the enduring power of truth, a symphony of healing that resonated across decades of silence, proving that love, in its purest form, never truly fades. Chapter 7. A New Canvas of Life. Years flowed like a gentle river, carrying Sarah into her late 70s. The quiet rhythm of her life in suburban Boston continued, but it was now imbued with a profound sense of peace and a rich tapestry of understanding. The ghost of her unresolved friendship with Emily had finally found its rest, replaced by a living legacy of love, truth, and forgiveness. The exhibition of Emily's art had gained unexpected recognition. Art critics lauded Emily's raw talent, her vibrant use of color, and the emotional depth of her work, particularly when accompanied by excerpts from her journals. The journals themselves, partially published with Lily's permission and Sarah's careful editing, resonated deeply with readers, offering a poignant look into the complexities of mental health, the struggles of an artist, and the enduring power of friendship. Emily's voice, once silenced by shame, now spoke powerfully, posthumously finding the audience and understanding she had yearned for. Lily, Emily's daughter, became a close and cherished part of Sarah's life. Their bond, forged in the crucible of shared discovery, deepened into a profound family connection. Lily visited often, bringing her own children, who looked up to Aunt Sarah with admiration. Sarah found a joyous new purpose in mentoring Lily, sharing her wisdom on writing and publishing, and witnessing Lily embrace her own artistic inclinations, a beautiful continuation of Emily's creative spirit. Lily, in turn, offered Sarah the warmth and vitality of a younger generation, filling the quiet corners of Sarah's life with laughter and new perspectives. Sarah often sat on her porch, looking out at her garden, no longer feeling the weight of a painful, unspoken past. Instead, she felt a quiet contentment. She thought of Emily, not with the sharp pang of grief, but with a gentle, loving remembrance. She understood now that true friendship wasn't about perfection or uninterrupted presence. It was about a profound, unwavering connection, a love that could endure even decades of silence and misunderstanding. She had learned that sometimes the greatest acts of love are born from the deepest pain, and that forgiveness, for others and for oneself, is the ultimate key to healing. Emily, in her final, desperate act of pushing Sarah away, had believed she was protecting her. And Sarah, in reading Emily's truth, had finally understood that profound, tragic love. David, their old friend, remained in touch, a living link to those vibrant New York years. He often visited Sarah, and they reminisced about Emily, sharing stories, laughter, and a quiet sense of closure. Their conversations were no longer shadowed by the mystery of Emily's departure, but illuminated by the understanding of her complex, beautiful soul. Sarah occasionally reread parts of Emily's journals, each time finding new layers of meaning, new depths of empathy. The pages no longer felt like a monument to a broken friendship, but a living testament to a bond that had simply transformed, growing stronger and more profound in its revelation. Her journey had been an unexpected one, a late-life unraveling of a decades-old enigma. But it had brought her not just answers, but peace, forgiveness, and a renewed understanding of the enduring power of human connection. The Unsent confessions had not just revealed a tragic past, they had opened a new canvas for life, painted with the vibrant hues of truth, love, and a profound, lasting serenity. The friendship between Sarah and Emily, once shattered, was now eternally stitched together by the threads of honest memory.